Hi, this is Ed. Welcome to the Art of Light channel, where before I go on, I just want to thank my patrons for your continued support over my channel and just really helping it to keep on going. Just patreon.com/theouterdark. I've got a number of videos scheduled, but I will be mainly watching this, which is the internet debate. Well, not debate, but conversation with an ex-CIA officer over at the internet party, Kim.com there as well. Of course, hosted by Susie Dawson, leader of the Internet Party itself. Of course, if you don't know what the Internet Party is, I'm putting a link there in the Twitter so you can check that out. A link to Twitter in the comments section so you can check that out. And also the live stream information will be there as well. Do check that out. I'll be watching live time. I do have some videos scheduled to come out though, so they should come out periodically. Let's have a look here at Julian Assange's comment here, and this is regarding websites. So here's an example from the left itself. And these are from different spectrums on the left. Of course, you couldn't equate, democracy now is on a different level of spectrum, I think. And all this left-right paradigm itself is fake anyway, in my opinion. It's really just dividing people up into categories. Really what people want is freedom, liberty, to live their lives, right? And to be left alone. If people could assemble around those ideas, a lot of things would sooner or later figure themselves out, I think. But you've heard about the examples, I guess, on what the establishment calls the right, and also places, I guess it's fair to say, like InfoWars, places like this. You see Paul Joseph Watson's account largely demonetized. All these kinds of things going on. And on the other side you have H.A. Goodman, of course, a progressive who had his Twitter account suspended. You had Tim Black as well, demonetized en masse. I think that the same progressive actually said something very interesting about all this a few videos, a few weeks ago, and that was the fact that really what the establishment wants is they like war. Okay, it's a war establishment. It's run by war cartels, and they just like swing the pendulum back and forth, left and right. Even David Icke talked about this, the fake left-right paradigm. He's been going on about it for years. So, no matter what field you go on, people are waking up. It's really the war cartels. They want war. And what did they do? Well, they got rid of Steve Bannon. Now, you might have things about Steve Bannon, you might not like him, but he was an anti-interventionalist, as Julian Assange has stated, or WikiLeaks has stated as well. And that means that he didn't want to have, go into wars, have any more wars. Okay, he didn't want them. And guess what? Neither did General Flynn. Isn't that strange? Their kind of philosophies they spoke on were not to end all these things, to go out and just be in these continuous war cycles. Even though General Flynn was a general, no stranger to the idea of war, he realized the conservative approach here, which really was, increased conflict and suffering leads to more wars, and the cycle of it. You can create a more dangerous world if you're not surgical in your approach. And you have the same thing from Bannon was a non-interventionalist. So what you have is you have the removal of two people for what? Well, they bend it all round, whatever kind of markings the mainstream news want to do. They call them Bannon, a racist, all these kinds of things. But they were non-interventionalists. So now you have what? You have the removal of two voices within the Trump administration that were proponents of opponents to going to continuous wars. Why? Because the war cartels run everything. That's the reality of it. It's Lockheed Martin, it's Raytheon, it's these places, in bed with the intelligence services and the banking networks. Look at my interview. Well, look at the famous interview. You don't have to look at my one. There's a more famous there with the Dutch whistleblower talking about the money wash activities within the heights of the echelons of the banking system. And the same clients would come to him, the intelligence services, the terrorists, whatever. They'd all come with the same truck. They all work together. They all need their money washed. There was money and suffering, causing wars, white phosphorus, destruction of chaos environment, as Littlefinger says wisely, and it's a great saying, in Game of Thrones is chaos as a ladder. What's meant by that? And that goes back to, a Machiavellian-esque philosophy of, opportunity derived from, chaos, or order out of chaos. For instance, the aspect of, if you go into a kingdom and everyone's fighting against each other and at odds, that provides opportunity in order for manipulation and adjustment. Whereas if it's solidified within a kingdom, then it's very difficult to kind of like approach different individuals saying you have something to give them. If it's chaos, then you do have something to give them. You have your side, and you're important. So, in essence, Littlefinger in Game of Thrones, it's an excellent little piece of wisdom. Chaos is a ladder. So, a machination there. It's one of the numerous kinds of philosophical machinations, I think, we refer to, which referencing Machiavelli. So, here we have this here. So, these are obviously on the left, different spectrums. For instance, you have Media Matters here, which, in my opinion, isn't even really anything. It's really a subversion technique by the banking and consolidated war cartels. See, they will take down anybody on one side, as long as they don't support war. If you support war, Media Matters will be all over it. They'll be defending you left, right, and yeah, Hillary Clinton's great. We love Hillary Clinton. She's amazing. We've got to do everything we can to protect her because she wants war. If Donald Trump had stated, yes, we're going to war with Iran and Russia, I don't care what anybody says, Media Matters would be, whoa, we've got to lay off this guy. This guy's like, he knows what he's doing. He wants war. Raytheon money, it's pouring out of the sky. Lockheed Martin is giving us millions of dollars. So Media Matters is just, in my opinion, a piece of garbage of humanity. It's really just the garbage can of humanity. So, but in saying that I don't like Media Matters, I do not like their philosophy, okay? I believe it is wrong, all of this kind of stuff. Why? Because look at now, you've got a massive fall in organizations that everyone cares about, whether you're on the left, right, or in the middle, and that's, of course, it's WikiLeaks. Of course, the neo-left, they all think that WikiLeaks is Russian. But, they are completely ideologically subverted. They just, I don't even know if they can ever change their perception anymore. I think that they've really been brainwashed. WikiLeaks is not a Russian agency, in my opinion, anyway. In my opinion, yeah, well, for what it's worth, I don't think they are. So WikiLeaks there fell by 30%. So Google deranked WikiLeaks by 30%. Look at this. Democracy Now! Fell by 36%. Okay, Democracy Now! At all these places, you've got lots of communistic ones there, or socialist sites or whatever. The main point is, you look at this and you go, okay, they're delisting everyone. But who was their real target? Well, it's probably really, as Julian Assange states here, is anti-establishment. These places think that they're friends of the administration. They are friends of, Hillary Clinton's philosophy or something. Some of them do. I don't think there's probably anyone in this whole entire list, apart from Media Matters, that is really. In that entire list, actually. That's how much Hillary Clinton is a criminal. Nonetheless, some people think that there's certain aspects of the same people that support Hillary Clinton that they agree with, the Democratic Party. Maybe in some aspects, most of these sites, looking at them, I guess in closer detail, probably, again, none of these sites are supporting Hillary Clinton. Isn't that amazing? Well, you might see a kind of little bit of breadcrumb information there, and that might be the target, really. Because who is Hillary Clinton? Well, she's a war machine, really. She is the original, the original pilot of the war establishment, all this kind of stuff. Not the original, but just another cutout, thrown in there with the dice in order to win an election, which would have largely been secured if there hadn't been some kind of strange event and Donald Trump got control. You know, there was mass vote rigging still on Hillary Clinton's behalf, but the vote rigging itself wasn't high enough to sway the fact that Donald Trump still had the votes. It was kind of amazing. So here you really do have anti-establishment. Anti-establishment being anti the war cartels, in my perception. Of course, I don't want to... that's what my interpretation... Not my interpretation, I don't know if Julian Assange is saying that, but that's how I look at it, as really anti-establishment being... It doesn't matter if Donald Trump or anybody, really. It's really that you don't support war. Media Matters, though, in my opinion, is probably the biggest war machine in existence. So I'm still puzzled by that. How is that possible? Well, I guess the intelligence services will have to really go write a memo, send that back into Google, and Google will have to go, whoa, Media Matters, what are you doing? That was an absolute mistake. Quickly push up their percentage. They have to be 100% now. You know, Google's probably made an error there with Media Matters, because Media Matters is clearly an organization that, in my opinion, supports the war cartels, white phosphorus on children, the destruction of the Middle East. They are really a proponent of the biggest war machine in human history, the Clinton establishment. And of course, Barack Obama, yes, biggest war president ever, just like George Bush, exactly the same as George Bush, exactly, except he's probably more controlled. I mean, look at the connections with the CIA with those two presidents. You know, look at them. I mean, literally, George Bush's father was in the CIA. Okay, literally. Okay, and look at Obama. Literally, if you look into the history, he interned at an organization that was a CIA cutout. Obviously, he's connected to the CIA. I mean, the CIA presidents, they'll toe the war party line. So here you see just censorship as one example, but the thing is it's everywhere. It's on the left, it's on the right, it's in the middle. It's anyone who questions the war cartels. That's who they're taking out. They don't want anybody talking about Syria. They don't want anyone to talk about Raytheon or Lockheed Martin. Look, I'm not saying Lockheed Martin just big war machines. Obviously, they make other things. They probably make like screws and bolts and things as well, you know, or something else. I know they make Lockheed Martin make planes. So it's not all about that. I mean, there's money in creating war, of course. So anyway, I'll be able to go off now. It's almost 8 o'clock. So just wanted to give an interesting update there. And of course, Internet Party's live streaming there with another CIA officer, but this one an ex-CIA officer that was placed in jail for blowing the whistle on torture, of all things. And where have we got it? You've got into the state. You've got him from the world of kind of a mentality that torture's wrong. You know, we don't torture people, you know, and these kinds of things too. Yes, let's get everyone in the bus. Get everyone in the bus and let's get the electrodes ready. You know, people that tortured other people used to be seen as villains in movies. Torture, of course, even by the CIA's own analysts, have shown that it doesn't work. People create false information under torture. It doesn't work, so why do it? It gives you a very bad intelligence. Anyway, that's my opinion. Not only that, but it's completely, it's completely horrendous to torture people. You know, what you do is you arrest someone, you put them in jail, you give them a fair trial, and then if they commit the crime, and it's a grievous crime, you put them in jail. You act like a normal person. You don't act like some kind of barbarian from some kind of, a Spartan, era or something, with the Spartans, just pretty ruthless individuals, although they're largely held up as heroic these days. They're actually ruthless. Great warriors, though, on the battlefield, but also you have to remember that the Spartans, although good warriors, they're only really known for certain battles where there was a small entry point. They couldn't really hold any real battles on the battlefield itself because they were outmaneuvered by greater sophisticated warfare and just directions and strategies. There's a number of battles that they famously just lost, even with overwhelming numbers. But, you know, they're very famous for, obviously, what happened against the Assyrians themselves, the invasion, so to speak. But yeah, so go over there, check it out. I'll put a link to Julian Assange's Twitter in the comments section, and of course the link to the Internet Party's tweet there, which has more information on it, and you can see the live streams and everything like that, which you'll be able to type in on that Twitter. In the meantime, this is Ed from the Our Light. Stay safe, and I'll see you all later.